All right. I can see myself in the stream, but still can hear this music. I hope it will go away now, and we will get started. I can't wait, people. Ladies and gentlemen, hello. I am so happy to welcome you here on our iOS and macOS Development Summit by Geekle 2023. Hello, everyone. I'm Ed Nadine, and this is Geekle. Welcome. And now I hear myself in another stream, and I just turned it out. Okay, we are about to get started with our intro, and I'm inviting my friend and my partner and the teammate and the person who knows about tech way more than me, Paul. Hey, Paul, how are you?
Hi, everyone. Doing good. How are you today? Glad to see every one of you. Glad that you have joined us, and yeah, we're excited to start our another iOS and macOS. This time we added some macOS topics to this event, and yeah, we're excited to learn about some new and exciting things that now we have for the iOS and macOS with some latest updates, new releases from WWDC 2023. So we'll be recapping some of those things, maybe diving a little bit deeper into some concepts. And we believe this will benefit us as developers because it's one thing when it's just the presentation. But when you have a couple of months, let's say 3-4 months to play with it, to work with it, and then you have some like insights on and know-hows how to do it, how to practically implement it. We believe this is going to be beneficial, and yeah, we have some amazing speakers today. We have some amazing presentations, and let's speak a little bit more about the agenda, what we're going to have.
Yeah, but before, as always, people, let us know where are you from, where you right now. Write us in chat your country, city, or the room. Where are you now? I'm in France, in Nice, and in my usual working place. And Paul is in Kiev, Ukraine, and I'm happy to hear that it's quite peacefully last few days at Kiev. Am I right?
Like, yeah, in Kiev it was okay, except for Odessa. Yeah, lots of
Uh,
stuff going on there this night, and I guess this night we had quite an unusual thing in the like far eastern part of Ukraine in Carpathian and Transcarpathian region. We had an earthquake over there, so it was like the magnitude was 4.5, like nothing disastrous, thanks God, but it was quite unusual. Lots of buzz about that, yeah, and
yeah. But everything is okay and it's great. Thank you for sharing news with us. And yeah, let's get back to topics. We'll definitely talk about media optimization, Firestore, some Swift macros also will be disclosed, and of course, augmented reality with Reality Kit, and we have like almost 1,000 registrations, 9 speakers today with 9 topics. We worked for like 2 months on this event, and we divided it in 3 blocks, right? Um, Unfortunately, Sia, who's the community manager of this event, couldn't join us on this opening ceremony, but because of technical problems. But I'm so thankful to Sia and to everyone uh, who took part to prepare and deliver this content. Thank you very much to all speakers, to program committee members, everyone who supported us, to every attendee. Thank you very much. That's actually awesome. Um,
yeah,
so,
just couple more things about the like the format. So we're going to have 3 blocks, and we will have Q&A sessions after each block. And we encourage everyone to write your questions. So please ask those questions that you may have about the presentations, because it contributes to the experience immensely. So when you can actually ask the presenter, and it's way more enjoyable when you have this back and forth communication. So please don't be shy, ask your questions. And also we will have the socials of our speakers. I believe they will they will share them. And yeah, let's show some love. Let's follow. Let's put some likes. Let's follow on X and other socials. So yeah, let's get this Geekle community, because it's pretty new. I believe this is our second event, so let's get it growing. Let's get it more exciting. And yeah.
Please let us know what you think about the sound and the picture of the live stream. Is it good enough? Is it okay? I'm not sure what else should we mention.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I have a couple more things. I do have a couple more things. Yeah. So what I wanted to add is that, like for those who have the full access, you will get recordings and your certificate shortly after the event, maybe 1 or 2 days, because we need to put together the recordings and the certificates. We need to issue them and send them to you. And also, we will have some special offers, special discounts for our next events, for the upcoming events. So we will have the Angular, React, and UI UX summits with the discount. So here's the link and the QR code for this. The promo code is iOS Live. So use that promo code. Maybe you have someone in your team who is doing the front end part of your project. This is my cat, if you hear him. Yeah. So if you have someone who's doing the front end part, or the UI UX part, or maybe the back end part, so we have those events upcoming. Yeah, so grab yourself a discount, grab yourself a special promo for the events.
I always wait for this moment when your cat jumps on the table and walks.
Yeah, it's
like here. Yeah, yeah, I love this moment.
3
It
years in
always
a row.
happens.
This is basically nothing new. This is like he's probably
All right.
he's as consistent probably as autumn and
Yeah. What is
then
his stack
winter, then
actually?
spring. His stack, he is curly. Yeah, he is curly.
I mean, what is his tech stack? I
So
don't know. Does he do the Swift or React or whatever? All
yeah,
right. All right. All right. All right.
his special stack is curly. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right, people. We are about to start our next, our first speaker, sorry, and yeah, let's see what we got. Without further talks and explanations, let's dive into. Yeah, here it is. I told you, people. Here it comes. Yeah, we're going to our first talk, and let's see what we have. Thank you, Paul, for helping me to open this event, or I forgot something else.
Yeah, I guess not. And just one more thing. So I guess Ad, you're taking this part, so you're the modder for this block, and I'm gonna be modding the next one, I guess. So let's share it like that.
All right.
Okay. So everyone,
All right. All
yeah,
right.
let's
all right,
get into it. Let's dive in.
Yeah. So first talk is maximize media optimization by Adi Mizrahi from Cloudinary, and I think it's gonna be something interesting because Cloudinary SDK is something probably interesting to discover, to learn more. how to maximize media optimization in our day-to-day workflow. I'm not an iOS developer, but I really understand how important it is, because I always use all this media as you do. Anyway, this stage is for our first speaker, Adi. So let's see what we have.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and thank you for your attendance. I want to start off with a question. How much conversion rate will your application lose for a delay of 100 milliseconds? Think about it. Your application has a delay of 100 milliseconds until the loading page comes up. How much conversion rate will you lose? The answer to that is 7%. My name is Mizrahi, and I'm here today to show you how you can improve your application in terms of conversion rate, traffic, and customer satisfaction. A little bit about myself. I work as a staff mobile engineer at Cloudinary for almost 2 years. I've been developing apps for more than 10 years, started back with Objective-C, and moved my way up to Android Java, Swift, Android Kotlin, and recently Dart and Flutter. At my spare time, I also write technical blog, because I believe that through putting my thoughts on a page, I'm actually understanding the material better. I've also been teaching mobile systems design at the university for 2 years. It really helped me improve my Android knowledge. And lastly, and I love to talk about this, I'm a gamer. I love playing games from PC, consoles, you name it. If you ever want to talk about games or want to have a session, feel free to reach me. So before we get started, I want to give you a notion of why would you want to choose to develop a mobile application. I understand that most of you know the mobile world, read and leave code, but why do we go and develop apps? What's so captivating about it? The following graph shows the percentage of the entire internet traffic in December 2022. We can see that more than 66% is being transferred through mobile devices. Add up to that the 2% from the tablets, and you get more than 68% of traffic that is moving through mobile devices. And there are many reasons to that. Devices are getting stronger in terms of battery life and screen quality, and applications and mobile network are improving as well, which contributes to the overall user experience. One more question. We started with one, but I want to have another one. How many hours were spent on mobile devices around the world last year? I'm not expecting a question, but the number, I'm not expecting an answer, but the number is immense. 4.1 trillion hours. If you take that and you spread it to the average, that means that the average person spends a third of his wake time on his mobile device. Third. And let's talk about what moves this world, money. So in the graph, you can see the Apple's App Store revenue from 2017 to 2021. We can see the consistent growth over the years up to the peak of $85.1 billion in 2021. The amount of money that is passed through the store is immense, and it comes from your applications, your subscriptions, your consumables, and non-consumables. So now that I have your attention, we want to build a successful application, captivating, reaching visual application. We surely need to use assets. Text-only apps won't do. It's not the 90s anymore. We want to show a lot of assets, and we can't hold them on locally on our device. And we can't load them from locally, which would be ideal from performance, because usually they change from time to time. Think about Instagram, think about Facebook, the feed always updates. And not only that, we don't want our users to download huge applications from the store, because we're holding so many assets which increase the application size. So instead of storing assets locally, we need to get them remotely. So what is the problem when we're trying to get assets remotely? First of all, we are talking about mobile devices. There is no guarantee that the user has a stable connection. He can be traveling around or just standing at a spot with a bad reception. When getting remote assets can be challenging. If the assets are not optimized and weigh a lot, it will be even more challenging to receive them with a bad connection. When we're loading a lot of assets at once, if those assets are not optimized, and we get big assets in terms of size, width, height, and file size that are not optimal for the containers they're going to fill, it's going to take the device a lot to render them into those containers. This can cause performance issue. It takes a lot of resources to decode and render an image into a container, so think of doing that to up to 10 images at the same time. As you can see in the screenshot, what would usually happen is we get to see blanks, holes, or just long loading animations up until the device can actually able to load that image. One of the most common scenarios we run into while roaming is video buffering. I think you can all relate to the following image. We're on our way somewhere, there's that video that we want to watch, we want to see it, we were desperate to see it, but suddenly we get the buffering animations. When the video is not fit to the network and the device, this is a very valid use case. And there are ways to improve this. Some applications support orientation changes, switching between portrait and landscape. This affects the asset size. Do we need to get a new asset for each orientation, or do we use the same one? Which might not look so good. We might get disoriented images, which happens. And device sizes. There are many device sizes. Even with recently iPhone 15 that came out, there are more screen sizes. It doesn't matter if it's iOS, where the problem is less severe, or Android, where it's way worse. We have many screen sizes. The asset size between small phone and a tablet is very different. Do we need to create and pull an asset for each use case? What about DPR, device pixel ratio, for each phone size? How do we handle all of those? And if the asset is not optimized and the file size is large, like it's a big file, this means we're pulling more bytes from the internet, which means our device's modem will work harder, will work more, which means that we're using more battery, and basically we're draining the user's battery. Moreover, if the user is not on Wi-Fi, this might actually charge them extra costs for using an extra bytes. And of course, we want to use some kind of a cache mechanism where we keep the assets we already got locally, and we don't want to keep downloading them over and over again. If the asset weighs a lot in terms of megabyte, that means that the app will get buffed. It's getting oversized, and it might get deleted by the user since it captures too much disk space on the device. As you can see in the list, we get to the point where there's not much storage left. We start looking for those apps that take the most. Rendering big assets requires memory, RAM memory. There is so much memory that the device has. And if we try to render a lot of assets with big size, we might run into memory issues. While some devices have more memory and might handle those use cases, the weaker one might crash due to this issue, and it happens. And since we're pulling assets remotely, we are dependent on how far are we from the server. The closer we are to the server, the faster we will get the asset. So we just saw that loading many assets without optimization can cause delays in loading speed. It can cause performance issue and even might turn to crashes. But why all of this is important? Does loading speed of the landing page is really that important? And the answer to that is definitely. 100 milliseconds delay will cause 7% conversion reduction. When I say conversion, I mean that a user turned into a paying user or a subscribed user or put something into his cart if we're talking about m-commerce. Take this number, multiply it by 10, although it's not a linear connection, but multiply it by 10. You get that for 1 second of delay, you get 70% reduction in conversion. This is according to a study by Akamai. And there are more reasons to that, because 1 second delay can cause a 20% drop in traffic. Another one, a 1 second delay can lead to 11% decrease in page views. Page views are the amount of pages that users sees in your app. The less they see, the less likely that they will turn into paying users. So we need to increase the page views, not decrease them. And another one, 1 second delay can lead to a 16% decrease in customer satisfaction. And that might lead to bad store reviews and people deleting your app. And that is not something that we want. All those 3 slides are according to a Google study. And I'm here to talk to you about improving your media optimization. We're not talking about tens of seconds improvement. We're talking small numbers. Even milliseconds can be meaningful. So now that we stated the problem and why it's important to optimize your media, I want to show you how you can achieve this. And for that, the first thing that we need to do is improve our page loading speed. We want our page to load fast and in an optimized way, and being rich in media, of course, because all of the apps today, the successful apps, are rich in media. This will improve the user experience of our app. To do that, we can start with the following. Reduce the size of the assets by resizing. Reduce the width and the height. We don't want 4K assets, for example, when we're presenting image feed or thumbnails. Reduce the image quality. Compress it. If we don't want to show a full-size image, we can compress the image and decrease the quality, but still get a good-looking image. We will also need to deliver a specific format. HEIC, for example, for iOS. Why? Because it's being rendered on the hardware and therefore rendered much faster than other formats. And that's since iOS 11 and iPhone 7. Since then, HEIC is being rendered on hardware, and this improves performance significantly. All the things I just mentioned, dimensions, format, quality, will lead to lighter assets, more optimized assets that will weigh less. And we will get them more optimized on our device. So we downloaded an image. We presented it to the user. He decides to move to another screen. Valid scenario. Or send the app to the background and open it again. Do we download the image all over again? Of course not. We will use a cache mechanism. So once we download an asset, it's saved on our device and we can load it locally the next time we want to use it. Of course, we want the asset to be optimized so it will catch less disk space as it can on the device, so we don't bloat our app. This slide is for the video world, and here I want to mention adaptive bitrate. Instead of having one stream with one quality, the video player gets manifest of multiple streams in different qualities and resolution based on the bandwidth and more. It chooses the most fit stream and plays it. Think about YouTube. You see YouTube and suddenly your signal drops. You start seeing the quality of the video drops and up until the point where it's actually getting pixelated. That's adaptive bitrate. Responsive, we want to be able to get the same asset in different sizes. For different orientations, for example, or for different containers. We want to get the same asset in the most optimized way, small in size, better in bandwidth usage, device storage, and device performance. Content Delivery Network, or CDN for short, is an extremely important mechanism. This means that there is a grid of servers all around the world that we cache our delivered assets on them once they get there for the first time. This means that the second users that ask for that same assets, it will be delivered faster, since the distance between the user and the CDN server is much shorter than the user and the main endpoint. And some of us might have a website which presents the same assets as our mobile application, but desktop design is very different from mobile application. The size of the assets may vary depending on the platform, and we need the same image, but in different size. Keeping multiple instances with different size for the same assets is a good solution. Even better if each device will get the right asset for it in terms of size, in terms of format, and everything that we mentioned before. Now that we've seen what the challenge we're facing, what are the implications, and how we can handle it, let's get practical and see some code and how we can achieve better performance on our app. So what I did is I pre-prepared an app that I've already built on an Xcode, and I will run it on a simulator. You can see the app here. There are a few items here, and I want to start with the first one. The first thing that I want to show you is optimization, because that's basically what we talked about. How can we optimize an asset? And I'm going to show you a little scenario that I built. So if I'm clicking optimization, you can see two images popped up. Now, if you were here with me, I would let you guess which is the original and which is the modified or the optimized image. But since you can't answer, I will do it for you. So take a second, think if you can actually guess. And if you can't, let's see. So as you can see, the original is on the top and the optimized is on the bottom. The original is 6,000 pixels on 3894, which weighs almost 7 megabytes. But then we took our optimized and we reduced the size to 2400 on 1558, which weighs about 6 of the original image. Now, if we dive deep into the code and actually look on what we did, I want to show you. So we are using here the Cloudinary iOS SDK. The first thing that I do is I'm initializing my Cloudinary object, which I give the cloud name. You can register at the website and get your cloud name. It's super easy, not much into that. Then I'm taking my Cloudinary object, I'm creating a new URL, and I'm setting some transformations. I'm setting the quality to auto, the fetch format, the format to HIC, the DPR to auto, and I'm reducing the width by 0.4, but I'm scaling. So basically, I'm keeping the aspect ratio. And as we can see in the example, the same image is being much more optimized and much easier for the device to render and load. Let's see some more examples. So I'm going to show you a few things that this SDK can do as well. Optimization was just one of them. Things that we can do, such as transform, for example. So we have the original image, and we are transforming it using an effect called Saphia. There are hundreds of transformations that you can run on an image and video. Saphia is just one of them. There are overlays, text overlays, image overlays. There are things that you can do with effects. There are also the optimizations transformations that we've seen. There are transformations that allow you to capture specific things like gravity. We can crop the image and ask for gravity auto, so the backend will know automatically to center around the most interesting object in the image. Those are just a few examples of hundreds of transformations that Cloudinary can do for you. Let's see a more complex transformation. So we have here a cup of coffee, and we rounded the corners through the URL. We set an image overlay of that cute couple, and we set a text overlay that said love, and we added another balloon. If you want to see it in code, that might look a bit scary, but it's really that easy. So we're setting the transformation, and then we're adding everything. We're setting a new overlay of the nice couple. We are setting the saturation effect. We are setting a vignette effect, and we're adding another layer of the balloon, which we saw on the right side, and then we're adding the text overlay, which says love. And all of that is being done easily through our iOS SDK. Again, the first thing that we see is that we set the width and height with the gravity to sound. So there are many, many, many optimizations and transformations that you can run through this SDK. I'm just showing you a few examples, but feel free to download it and play with it and set it as you like. A few more things that I want to show you. One of the main scenarios that we have in mobile application is what is called UGC, user-generated content. For that, we give you an easy solution how to upload an image to the Cloudinary cloud, which is super easy. So I'm going to open up the gallery. I'm going to choose that cute rabbit over here. I'm going to get that loading animation while the image is being uploaded into our backend. And voila, we got the rabbit. I want to show you the code, how simple that is to upload an image with the Cloudinary URL. So we have the upload image once we get the image from the gallery. And all we need to do is call our Cloudinary object, create that uploader, call the upload function, send it the data. Here I'm turning the image into PNG data using the Apple's API. An upload preset is something that I'm not going to elaborate about, but it's something that you create on your cloud, and it's like a specific ID to that specific upload. And we have a completion handler. We're sending the image into our image view. This image view is not a UI image view as you know it. This is a CLD UI image view. I will talk about it in a few minutes. And of course, we're hiding the animations, and that's it. So one line of code to upload an image. The next example I want to talk about is upload large. So we just talked about the UGC and how important that scenario is. But what if I want to upload really, really big files? Think about videos in TikTok. They don't weigh about 10 or 20 megabytes. Those videos might weigh a lot, depends on their length. So for that, we have the upload large function. Here I'm going to choose that video of 28 seconds. And then it will be compressed, first of all, by the iOS and by our widget, and then it's going to be uploaded. So we're going to see the animation for a few seconds, and soon that video will appear once it finished uploading. Excuse my slow internet. It's really dependent on my bandwidth, but as you can see, now we got the video, and the video is being played automatically. Why? Because that's the way I said it. Again, we are using an SDK video widget, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. But while it's playing, I want to show you the code and how easy it is to upload large files using our SDK. So again, like we saw with the upload, one line of code. We are creating the Cloudinary object, creating an uploader, and we upload large. We give it a URL this time. We're not giving it the actual data, but we can. But here we're giving it a URL we got from the gallery. Again, we're setting the upload preset. We give it a few params, which is just to say that we're uploading a video this time and not an image, okay? And we're setting the chunk size. We're actually splitting this file, this large file, into a number of chunks that are being uploaded in parallel. So we're setting each chunk into 5 megabytes. And when it's finished, we're creating the video player and playing the video. Moving on. We have a fetch upload, which means that we are using a URL. I'm going to show you what it looks like. So what we're doing is, instead of uploading the file from a URL downloading the file into our device and then uploading it, we're doing everything simultaneously. We're just supplying a URL from Wikipedia. The reason I put the Saphia effect here, so you understand that this bottom image is coming from my cloud. This one is originally from Wikipedia, and here I'm just supplying the URL, and it's being automatically uploaded and presented to me. That is called fetch. One more thing is a pre-processing. We have this huge image of a car, which I don't need, but I want to upload it to my cloud. But why would I want to upload 4K? I need it much, much smaller. So I'm clicking the upload, and what will happen is we're processing some things before we upload, and we can see that the result is 500 on 333, but that's the way it was uploaded from my device. Let's look at that for a second. So what I'm doing here with the code is I'm doing a pre-processing through the SDK. I'm performing a few steps, limiting the width and height to 500, turning it up in 108 degrees so you can see the difference between the images, setting the format to PNG and the quality to about 70%. And that's the result, as you can see. And that's before I uploaded. That's why the upload was so quick, because I uploaded a really small image. We also have the upload widget, which is kind of the same like the upload, but it does everything for you. So once I select the image, it's being uploaded completely free of code for me. So upload widget would look something like this. I'm opening the widget, and once an image is selected, I'm getting the upload requests and the response. That is being automatically done for me. Again, no must to use it, but it saves a few lines of code. We said before, we talked about the image widget, and the image widget can do a few things. It can load the image locally, it can load the image remotely, and it can load an image using a special ID from Cloudinary, which we called a public ID. Let's see that in code. So image widget, and as we can see, we load locally from a UI image from my assets catalog. We load it from a URL, which can easily be done, and we're using a public ID from Cloudinary, which is called sampled here. But what's cool about this widget is that it has its own cache mechanism, which means that once we use an image, it's being cached on our device smartly, and next time we want to use it, it will be loaded locally. We won't have to download it again. The last thing that I want to show you is our video player, and I split it into two. We have the layer, which doesn't have any controls, and we have one with a controller, which I can play. The cool thing about the widget is that if you have subtitles attached to the video, it will be played automatically. And not only that, this player, by default, automatically tries to pull a manifest of streams. which calls in our terms, it's called automatic streaming profile. And that is by default unless you disable it. And then we get a smart video. So if the bandwidth drops, the player will drop it as well, the quality, and start pulling lower quality streams, which is really nice. And that is for the part of the live coding. And I'm going to go back into the presentation. So we've just seen practical tools of how you can achieve better application performance. Next, I want to show you a real-life example. Just Eat is a food delivery company who mainly works at the UK and Australia through an app and website, which you can order food on. To improve their user experience, Just Eat optimized their assets, which cut their page loading time. In the following screenshot, you can see their app. You can see the image feed where you can scroll between different restaurants, and you can see that the screen holds multiple assets. And it uses some of the techniques that we've seen in coding before, such as quality auto and format auto, DPR auto, and you can even see here round corners as well. The menu screens offers different size images, more thumbnail style. We can see round corners and even border for each image. By optimizing the menu assets, Just Eat increased the menu usage, page views, and decreased their loading times. On the left, we have a specific dish menu, where you can see the same assets from the menu screen we just saw in the thumbnail, but in bigger size, without losing any quality. The image looks great. On the right, you can see the same dish presented in Just Eat's website. Same assets, different size. What I just showed you is a tool we created at Cloudinary. It can help your application improve delivery by up to 60% and data usage by up to 80%. The library I've just shown you through live coding is written in iOS, but it's written in more than other 15 languages, such as Android, Java, Kotlin, Flutter, React Native, and more. So a little wrap up of what we've been through. We talked about why even develop mobile application. What is the challenge that we are facing? Why does it matter? And the solution. I gave you practical tools on how you can optimize your media, and with that, your application's performance. The important thing to remember is media optimization done right can improve your application conversion rate, traffic, and customer satisfaction. I want to thank you for attending and listening, and I hope you learned something and have practical tools to take with you. If there are any questions, I'll be taking them through the chat now. Thank you very much.
And here I am back again. Well, that was actually great, and I did really well. I really love this style of presenters when they do bam, 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 see here, see there, and code here, and widgets, and use case, and everything. Well, with all my hope of hired user who has all these long videos and images, downloads, and everything. I hope you guys use these or other tools to improve our media download and everything. Thanks again. And our next speaker is Maninder Singh. He is an iOS developer in BlueSmart, and he really loves being the part of conferences. I see he was taking part of WWDC and our previous event, and today he is here with solid principles, building strong software foundations. Well, I hope you're all familiar with solid principles, and we'll hear more about that from his talk. So now it's all his time. Let's do it.
Hey everyone, I am honored to stand before you today to introduce myself. My name is Maninder Singh and I hail from vibrant and deserved nation of India. I am a young and enthusiast iOS developer with passion of creating innovative and user-friendly mobile applications. Over the past 3 years, I have immersed myself in the world of iOS development and constantly seeking to refine my skill to stay at the forefront of this dynamic field. My journey in the world of app development has taken me on some exciting adventures. Currently, I am proud to be part of BlueSmart Technology as iOS developer engineer. At BlueSmart, we are a revolution in India's transporting section by introducing the country first all electric shared smart mobility platform. One of the unique feature of BlueSmart is that it eliminates search charges and making it only convenient but also cost effective for user. What truly excites me about this is our commitment to reduce carbon footprints and help creating a greener and more sustainable environment for future generations. Before joining BlueSmart, I had the privilege to contribute to the success of Zomato as an iOS developer. Zomato is a household name in the food delivery industry, and it was an incredible experience of work on project that reach millions of users and enhance their dining experience. Today, I am here to share my knowledge and insight on the topic that is closer to my eyes and heart. Solid principle building strong software fundamentals. Throughout this session, we will explore these fundamental principles with a touch of creativity, and you can expect to see memes, real world example, and even some code to make learning both informative and enjoyable. I encourage you to all to capture those memes with screenshot because I am confident that by the end of our session you will have grasped these principles so well that you will be able to explain them effortlessly using those same memes. In conclusion, I am deeply passionate about iOS development, sustainability, and making the world better place through technology. I look forward to share my insight with you today, engaging and in meaningful discussion with all of you. Thank you for your attention and let's embark on this learning journey together. So the question is, what is solid principle? Is this a group of Avenger team called Successful Club of Solid Teammates where they will teach you to become a solid and become a superhuman? Nah, the term solid principle might sound like a superhuman team, but it's not a capes and superhuman abilities. In reality, it's a set of fundamental principles for written, maintainable, and efficient code. So let's dive into a real essential of solid principles. Before we dive into the world of solid principle, let's take a moment to look at the meme and relate the common scenario. We all have that one team member who seems to possess a magical understanding of entire code base and legacy of the system. They are like the wizards of our team, right? But what happens when they are not around and suddenly one of our manager jump onto our desk to solve a seemingly easy problem? But then you feel a bit wizard. It's a moment like this that solid principle come to our rescue. Now let's unreveal what solid is all about. Solid represent a set of 5 fundamental principles in software development. These principles are like a toolkit designed to help us to create a code that easy to maintain, flexible and robust. Think of solid as your shield against legacy code and as a path of making your code more generic and reusable. I know you can relate with this meme. How is that possible? So, here we go. Basically, as I already said, S.O.L.I.D represents 5 principles. First, single responsibility principle. This principle states that a class should have only one reason to change. In other words, a class should have a single responsibility or task. When a class has multiple responsibility, it becomes challenging to maintain and understand, and change in one area may affect others. O. Open and close principle. The open and close principle encourage software entities like class, module, functions to be open for extension but closed for modifications. It means that you should be able to add new function to a module without altering its existing source code. This promote code reusability and minimize the risk of introducing bugs. Third, list of substitution principle. This principle emphasizes that object of derived class should be able to replace object of base class without affecting the correctness of the program. In other words, derived class should adhere to the same context interface as their base class. I. Interface segregation principle. Interface segregation principle suggests that clients should not be forced to depend on interfaces they don't use. Instead of having large monolithic interfaces, it's better to create smaller and specific interfaces that cater to the needs of individual client. This promote a more focused and efficient design. D. Dependency inversion principle. Dependency inversion principle encourage high-level module like class or components to depend on abstraction, interface, or abstract class rather than on concrete implementation. It allows for more flexibility, easier testing, and decoupling of component and making code base easier to maintain. Part 1, Single Responsibility Principle. Now moving forward, we will cover all the principle by one, and we'll discuss by meme, by code, and by example as well. So let's consider an example to illustrate the single responsibility principle. Imagine there is a project lead who handles everything within the project, from code review, release planning, and team management, and feature release as well. They might carry a substantial workload and become a bottleneck due to excessive dependency. Now think about how this project lead could operate more efficiently by delegating tasks to their team members. By doing so, they would reduce their workload and improve overall efficiencies. A similar analogy can be drawn in software development as well. Often we encounter code that tries to do everything, calling APIs, parsing data, saving to the local database, among other tasks as well. This approach consolidates numerous responsibility into a single class and making it challenging to reuse in different modules as well. However, if we adhere to the single responsibility principle and ensure that each class has one distinct responsibility, we can easily use these specialized classes across various modules as well. This promote code modularity and enhance the overall maintenance and reusability of the software. Let's explore another example that we can all relate, the spoke. It's a combination of both a spoon and a fork. While it can serve multiple purposes, we know that sometimes it can be challenging to handle effectively. This is where the single responsibility principle comes into the play. It helps us to avoid creating spoke classes in our code where the single entity tries to handle multiple responsibility. Now let's delve into the benefits of adhering the single responsibility principle, and also take a look at the code example to illustrate this principle. Let us see an example explaining it. I have developed a messaging app screen to get a list of past conversation. So I have a conversation interactor class which gets me the array of previous conversation. So how many responsibility does this class have? It have three responsibilities. First, get the conversation data from the API. Second, parse and create conversation struct or objects from API response. Third, saves the conversation array to database, either core data or something else. If we have implemented NSURL session for getting JSON data for API and JSON serialization for parse and core data stack for saving the database, this class become a huge monster. We can solve this problem easily by breaking down each responsibility and two different classes. I have created separate classes for each responsibility which conversation interactor was handling, and this is how our class look like. As we can see, now we have split the responsibility of the bigger task into three classes: conversation interactor, remote service, conversation DB operation, which makes easy for us to deal with particular classes rather than a giant conversation interactor class. This principle helps you to keep your classes as clean as possible, and we have an advantage of testing each and every API separately. With previous implementation, we could not be able to test fetch remote conversation JSON data and convert JSON to conversation and save to database because they were privately function inside conversation interactor. Now it seems we can test each and every piece separately. As we can see, all three classes are connected via protocol, which can be easily decoupled. We could be covering this topic in detail in dependency injection. Part 2, Open and Close Principle. Let's begin with my favorite thing, mean. Class open for modification? Nah. Class open for extension? Yes. So here is the another example, and as you can see, the class is open for extension but closed for modification. This means class allow extension without altering the source code. Like this mixer, we can change the attachment to perform different tasks, but we are not allowed to modify the mixer engine. Both element needs to be remain independent, and let's take a code example so that we can understand better the open and close principle by code. Let's take basic example of calculating the area of geometry shape. Let's say we have a requirement to calculate area of rectangle. So the rectangle and related area calculator class will look like this. We have a class of a rectangle which have width and height, and also we have a area calculator class which have a method of area which calculate area of rectangle. Now the requirement has come to calculate area of circle as well. So our area calculator class will look like this. We add new if statement, right? So this will work, but what if tomorrow one more requirement comes to calculate the area of triangle? Area function inside area calculator class keep growing with if else statements. According to open and close principle, we should not modify existing class rather than extend it. One way of solving this problem is to create protocol. Let's create a protocol of geometry shape and declare the area protocol method and implement geometry shape protocol inside rectangle or circle or any other geometry shape class. If there is a requirement tomorrow to calculate the area of even triangle as well, We should be able to achieve it without modifying the existing area calculator struct, just by extending the geometry shape protocol for the triangle. the, for the triangle. This obey the solid open and close principle. So as you can see in this example as well, our truck is the protocol and these are the separate classes. Moving forward, we have Liskov substitution principle, in which child class should never violate the type definition of parent class. This means that we must ensure that new drive class extends the base class without altering the base class behavior. We often encounter this situation in our daily coding life when we make changes in the child class that unwantedly introduce bug in the parent class. For example, consider a class hierarchy where sportsman is the base class and powerlifter inherit from it. All the sportsmen are healthy, which implies that powerlifter are also healthy. However, if a sumo wrestler inherit from sportsman, this breaks the parent class assumption as sumo wrestlers may not be considered as healthy. So here is the meme. Moving forward, we will see the practical example of the Liskov substitution principle. Let's see this with an example. We have classes rectangle and square. Since square is also a form of rectangle, so square is subclass of rectangle. Here in this block, square inherit the width and height property from rectangle and overrides the width and height property to return the same height and width since it is a square. Since our requirement is to calculate the area of rectangle and square, so we will use area calculator class. And our class would look like this. Let's go ahead to write a unit test case to calculate the area of rectangle and square. In above, both test cases should pass since we have used instance of rectangle to find area of rectangle and instance of square to find the area of square. So now let's go ahead and create a test cases in which we will try to substitute object of rectangle with object of square. Since square inherit from rectangle, we should be able to find area of rectangle with square instance. In this test case, we have used instance of square class to find the area of rectangle. Since square inherits from rectangle, but we are very unfortunate that the above test case failed. The area calculator returns the value of 16 whereas the expected area was 12. This violates the Liskov substitution principle of drive class square, breaking the parent class rectangle functionality of calculating the area. We can solve this by breaking the inheritance. As you can see, we create a protocol of area and it inherit the rectangle and square class. So this solution seems like similar to open and close principle. So now we conclude that if some uh, some class violate the open and close principle, that means it will violates the Liskov substitution principle as well, and vice versa. Moving ahead to interface segregation principle, where client should not be compelled to rely on interface that they are not utilized. In Swift, the principle encouraged the creation of cohesive protocols that define specific requirement for particular context, rather than having a large and general purpose protocols. By adhering to the interface segregation principle, you can avoid unnecessary dependency and ensure the client only rely on the specific functionality they required. And as you can see this meme, I personally encountered this issue with interface where I want to use an interface but it includes unwanted functionalities. And to address this, some of the developer opt to create new interface. And now we have a two interface which have a almost same methods in it. Similarly, we often encounter multi-pin chargers in cars. But let's consider a scenario when where we using this charger exclusively for charging a single iPhone device. This situation would indeed violate the principle of ISP. So many client specific interface are better than one general purpose interface. No client should force to depend on method it doesn't use. If we have two things to charge, then we can use universal charger. But if we want to charge only mobile, then we only need to use one charger, not a universal charger. An interface is considered fat when it contains too many methods that offer more information than we need. Let's grasp this the idea of fat interface in protocol with an example. Initially, we have a gesture protocol with a method called didTap, which a view uses to handle the gesture. As time goes on, as often does, new requirement emerge and we need to handle more gesture like did double tap and did long press. Our gesture protocols start to look like this. However, not all the view in our app requires all these gesture. Some of the views may only need the did tap gesture. In such case, our user detail view class, which only requires did tap, might look like this. To tackle this issue, we have two solutions. First, to tackle this issue, we can employ a smaller and more specific protocol instead of single and large one. The following snippet code demonstrate how we can segregate gesture protocol into smaller one and focus one. The alternative in Swift 3.0 is our second solution. We have options to use @Objective C keyword before the protocol declaration and protocol methods. This allows us to declare certain protocol method as optional so whoever needs them can implement them. The following snippet illustrate the approach. Our final principle is dependency inversion principle. So it suggests that high level module should not be depend on low level module. Instead, both should be depend on abstractions. This approach promotes loose coupling between components and simplifies the tasks such as testing and swapping of dependencies. I have personally encountered this issue in my project where we aim to create new module or kit from existing code. However, in doing so, we sometimes inject other classes unknowingly and leading to tight coupling with those classes. And when we kept to disentangle these classes, we encounter challenges and potential issues. Abstraction should not be depend on details. Details should depends on abstraction. So the question is, does your plug depends on abstraction or on exact implementation? So the practical implementation of this is, let's consider the class conversation data controller which we use in single responsibility principle. Here the core data controller is low level module in which it is easy to reuse in other project. The problem is with high level module conversation data controller, it is tightly coupled with core data controller. Let's discuss in detail. As I have mentioned earlier, conversation data controller is used in Messenger app to get the previous conversation JSON, parse it and save it to core data database. So it can use the previous conversation to display it offline as well as in the Messenger app. Now new requirement from the client or product team came, like can we use the same conversation data from Messenger app into another app? Which little change, something like use file system archiving instead of core data for saving the previous conversation. In that case, we cannot use conversation data controller into another app easily because it is tightly coupled with core data controller, or in other words, it has a dependency in low level module core data. So we can solve this dependency using database protocol. In this way, conversation data protocol controller can use abstract protocol without caring the type of database used. Let's see how the conversation controller look like after applying this. So we create a protocol as I already mentioned, and it use like this, and we directly inject that protocol over in it. Now we can use the conversation data controller without any hassle or hectic into another app which is use file system archiving for database, just by including file system archiving class as shown in this image. So before summarizing, I would like to emphasize couple of important point. First, when you try to make a simple task into a complicated masterpiece, yes, it is beneficial to use solid principle. It is crucial not to fall into the trap of over engineering. We should always remember the keep it simple stupid principle before delving into the solid principle. Additional, it's worth nothing that a skilled coder can write high quality code in any architecture pattern. Solid principle are tool to help us to improve the code and make scalable, but they are not substitute of good coding practice and expertise. Now it's a time to summarize everything. First, each and every class should have only one responsibility. Second, extending or inheriting a child or drive class should not break any parent or base functionality. Third, class A should not depend on class B and or vice versa. Both should be loosely coupled. Should not modify the existing class for change requirement rather than extend the class. Fifth, the interface or API to the client should have minimum information required by the client. Yes. Thank you for making my talk of solid principle huge success. As we came to the end of today's talk, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to the Geekles team and our community manager for inviting me for the second time to share my insights. I would like to express my gratitude to the incredible team of BlueSmart for their constant support. While we have covered the basics of solid principle, I want to emphasize that learning is an ongoing journey. If you have any question and want to deep dive and just want to connect, please don't hesitate to reach out to me via my social media handle. I am always happy to engage in deeper discussion. Remember, solid principles are powerful too, but they are just one aspect of building great software. Let's keep exploring, learning, and growing as developer. Thank you all for your time and attention today. Yes. When someone asks me about solid principle after the talk, we appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Solid principles. That's what was talked about, and yeah, we started from basics, and after that we even saw probably the car of Mr. Maninder. I'm not sure if it's his car, but I saw some car there. Anyway, yeah, I'm inviting speakers here, and the Q&A session is about to start. And first is Adi. Hello, Adi. How are you? Your mic is muted now.
Yeah, sorry about that. Hey there. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for nice talk, and I really put lots of my hope that like lots of developers will use the stuff you mentioned. I would love that. And also we have on our big stage Mr. Maninder, and here he is. Hello, and your mic is muted also, man. So you need to unmute your mic. Yeah. Hey, how are you?
Hey, hi. Hi, thank you for inviting me. I
Yeah,
hope
cool,
you
cool,
like
cool.
the solid principles.
We'll see. We'll see. Principles are principles, and everybody decides what principle to use. And yeah, but thank you for disclosure. And thank you. And let's jump to questions we have from our chat. Okay, if you don't mind. Yeah. By the way, what I actually do every conference is I go to profiles of our speakers and follow them and connect them as friends. And I suggest you to do the same while we talk, while you listen to this, Q&A session, because this is what it's better than to have some unsorted Instagram feed, if you know what I mean. Anyway, yeah, the first one is probably about the solid principles. What are some challenges you encounter when applying solid principles in iOS development? Kind of
Okay.
that.
So basically, the one of the most issue which we all face is like we need to create a different use a class, and we need to use same class in a different module as well. So in that case, we used to have a dependency in other class, like as I said, dependency injection principle. The most of the thing is covered in the solid, is the mainly main thing that we need to cover in the solid, to how to avoid the loose how to make a class loosely coupled. Because if we tight couple that class, we will not able to use same code in different module as well. Plus in personal, I have a huge class of API calling class, which also stores the data, which I show in my example as well. So you always need to avoid that huge large function, so that you can like easily do the solid easily follow the solid principle, and your development is maintainable and scalable for yourself.
Cool. That's pretty reasonable. Thank you for that. And the next one is for Adi, I believe. Yes. What are the key tips for developers new to culinary SDK integration? Probably meaning like what to start from or whatever? What do you think?
Yeah. So I want to start by saying that the Cloudinary SDK is mainly if you're using assets in your app, and I understand that most apps today use either images or videos or some kind of media. But we're looking for new developers. So I'm a new developer now, and I know that I'm going to have an app with a lot of assets in it. I'm going to have a feed. I'm going to have a bunch of images. And then if I do it just straightforward, and I'm like brute forcing it, and I'm just loading all the images from the JSON file that I just parsed and putting all the links in my app and letting them load, I will most likely run into memory troubles. I will most likely run into blanks. I will most likely run into problems with images not loading, and in general bad user experience. That's exactly why we developed this tool. Now, what I showed mostly in the session that we had is the optimization, and it's there to help you. So once you integrated that SDK, which you can easily do with Cocoa Pods, with Swift Package Manager, or with Carthage, depend on your preference there. I'm not judging. Take that SDK, open up your account, get your cloud name, put it into the SDK, and just try it out. Just try to get that first image from the cloud. You will see how smoothly, how easily it goes. From there, you can take it in many directions. I mean, the learning curve can start like this, but if you want to get ahead of yourself, you want to get more complicated, it can go up like this in a really short time. But the start is very, very simple. What I suggest is just open up an account, get the cloud name, put it into your SDK after you integrated it into your app, and just play with it a bit. I'm not even talking about user-generated content here. We're talking about uploading, which again is a very simple one-line code, which I showed in my demo. But that requires the preset, which can be complicated. You need to go to the website and pick it up, create one, and take it. So again, more advanced topic, but just to generate that image, just to get it into your app, just do it. Simply put that one-liner, and you'll see how amazing that is and how easy it is.
Oh, thank you. That's it made me like want to try it right now.
Same.
Yeah. Right. Yep. The next one is about the let's pick something from Maninder. Yeah, other common pitfalls or challenges that developers often encounter when trying to implement the solid principles. And do you have any recommendation for addressing them effectively?
I would say if we create a singleton in a huge class, this is something that we should avoid while implementing solid principles. And I don't think so any architecture have any pitfalls. Solid principle makes your code like easy to maintainable and scalable. But there is one pitfall I can say is like you need to write a huge code that you need to think before implementing it, and you need to write a huge code so that it can be hard to understand for other developer by like for 1 sec, but it can be useful for in future as well. So I don't think so I feel there is any pitfall in the like solid principle.
Cool. That's cool, actually. And another question to you, Maninder, is can you share some knowledge about refactoring code to better align with the solid principles in iOS projects? What do you think about the refactoring here?
I will share my GitHub handle to whomsoever shared this asked this question. So I will please reach out to me on the on the LinkedIn, and I will share you some of the code to how to implement the solid principle. I have one practical example as well. So all the basic things are you need to have a different interface. You need to have a single responsibility in your class, and you must need to think like if you are inheriting something in your if you're inheriting something, your base class should not be affected. And the fourth point is like you don't need to extend your class using if else, or using like we used to do in the table view function cell for row at, we used to add a lot of if, like if this cell and if this cell, we can use the open and close principle over there. For some example I can say, and even Apple also use solid principle. So one example is like Apple have 2-3 protocols for table view, like it have data source, it have delegate, and it have some scroll view delegate and flow layout delegate as well. So Apple divides all the protocol in smaller chunk, and we, if we import some like if we inherit the delegate in the function, we always get the required function, not the all the junk data, all the junk protocol that we are not using. So try to use that kind of thing. And if you are using ARKit is a good example I can say. For a Apple point of view, they implemented everything using solid principle. They created different protocol. They are not like they are not all the things have only one responsibility. If you create a AR node, if you create any functionality, all have different rules. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you for answering. The next one is to Adi, and I really love this question actually. How does Cloudinary ensure scalability and performance for apps with large media libraries and growing user bases? Any nuances?
Yeah, so first of all, I would start by saying that it works. We do that scalability. It was just one example that I showed of a customer that we have at Cloudinary. There are many others. I'm sorry that I can't name them here, but think of all the big brands that you can think of. Some of them are our customers and they use us and they have the scalability and they have the performance. We are talking about app that have millions of users actually working well. The thing is that Cloudinary is working through a CDN, as I explained, and we are using the top branches in that as well. We're talking about Cloudflare, we're talking about Akamai, we're talking about Fastly. We have servers spread all around the world that gather those information about the assets that you just delivered. So delivering them from those CDNs, and they are capable, of course, for handling millions of users at the same time, is exactly what we're aiming for. That's where the scalability comes from. Performance-wise, this is up to you. If you use the Cloudinary SDK, and again, it's a tool. Everything I explained there can be implemented by you as a developer. We just created that tool to give you a wrap for everything. But all those optimizations that I mentioned there with size, format, DPR, and everything, you can implement yourself in your app and create that optimization to create a better performance. But again, in terms of performance, if you implement it correctly, if you fit the image in terms of size, in terms of format, we're talking about here mostly in iOS, soon there might be new ones as well, like JPEG XL, which might comes in very soon. So if you implement those in your app's performance, supposed to be very sleek, very smooth. And if we're talking about video, think of an app like TikTok, for example. If you scroll quickly to TikTok, you see that the videos are loading very fast. That's because TikTok are using techniques to do that. For example, buffering up to 8 videos at the same time. So if you scroll quickly to the first 8 videos, you will get them and they will play immediately and they will play like very smooth. But at that point, it will stop because it's buffering again. It's a technique. We don't want to overload the system with like hundreds of videos because the system can handle that. But we want to give you some kind of a space because most people will likely scroll, but at some point they will stop and watch that video. That's the part where we stop. And buffer, that's just one example of how performance works. And yes, the Cloudinary SDK can do exactly those things. If you use it correctly, you can improve your performance by a lot, as I showed in the numbers in that session.
Yeah, kind of that. Thank you. And let's jump to the next question to you also, and which is because you mentioned TikTok, which is I'm not sure it's using Cloudinary, but they do use these kind of principles, right? So yeah, more examples. People want more examples of optimized media. Yeah, maybe with Cloudinary or not. Can you share more examples of improved app performance resulting from using Cloudinary SDK?
So for starters, I want to say, I'm not trying to sell here. That's not my point. I'm not trying to get you to buy the Cloud9 product. That's not why I'm here. I wanted to show optimization, and I want to show how it's done correctly. Again, you can implement it yourself. But if you log into our website and go to the documentation, you can find hundreds of examples of how to do performance and how to do optimization and how to do many, many other things, such as transformation. As I mentioned, we have hundreds of them. I can give a few quick examples. For instance, when I was the developer before I joined Cloud9, I had an app of backgrounds for iPhone. And one of the things that we noticed is that people are cropping those images to fit them however they want. But the thing is that they lost like the main object in that image. And Cloud9 SDK for that has a solution. For example, we have a thing called Gravity Auto, which means that even if you crop, we will still detect the main object in that image for you and put the crop around it. So you don't have to supply the X and Y, for example, when you crop. You can just say, okay, I don't want 1,000 on 1,000. I want 500 on 500. We will crop it, and we will center that 500 on 500 for you on the main object. So that's just one example of app performance, because yes, images are being cropped when we're using them in iPhone. We don't show the same assets for desktop and for phones. It's different. It's different in terms of size. It's different in terms of format. It's different in terms of many, many things. Other examples that I can give you, I showed it in the session, but I want to emphasize it and how important that is today with videos. Videos, we all know, is the thing that is being most consumed. 90% of the traffic of video is being transferred to mobile devices, tablets and phones. And we know how important that is, and it's very, very captivating. Everyone wants to see a video, not always with sound. Sometimes we want those subtitles. And again, Cloud9 can help you with those subtitles. But with that, what I wanted to emphasize is the adaptive bitrate and how important that is. Think of you as someone who travels around with a video and suddenly it stops. It's buffering, the signal is gone, the connection is not working. For that, exactly, we have the adaptive bitrate. We get a manifest of streams. And that's a great way to improve performance. Even if the signal is bad, we still broadcast some kind of stream, even in bad quality, but it's still a stream. That's a better user experience than actually getting a black blank that gives you nothing with a spinning loading animation. Just so much better. So again, for more examples, please, I encourage you to go to our website and you will see dozens of things that you can do, not only on mobile. Again, we supply this for desktop, backend, frontend. Whichever framework you can think of, we most likely did some kind of a wrapper around it to improve performance. Thank you, Adi.
All right. Thank you, Adi. Thank you for not being selling this. But if you have any special promo codes or offers or something, feel free to share with our community. It's always great, actually. And if you don't have it right now, you could like write me back later, and we'll send out to our community. Okay. Because I really love what you do, guys. Because you're actually saving my minutes of my life. Thank you. And probably the last question of this Q&A session, and it's interesting question, by the way, is to you, Maninder. How do you prioritize which solid principles to apply in a given software development scenario? And what factors influence on this decision? That's tough, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So I must say, if you are a good developer, you don't need any kind of architecture or any kind of thing. You can write better code without using solid principle. In I personally believe, if you in my previous company, we used to have a huge legacy code where only single person know that this can be fixed by this, this can be fixed by him, like he knows every line of code. So for that, we can't move directly our code base to solid principle, and we can't change our production cycle as well. So for that, if you write a code in MVC, and if you think it is scalable for you, and you can use you can use in different module, and you can scale this code, and you can it is a flexible it is flexible for you, then you should avoid solid principle. None of the things, none of the principle, none of the architecture will will help you will define like solid principle is not best to implement. The solid principle is not only the best to implement any kind of app, but it completely depends on the scenario. Like for us, we are a large company, and for us, like we have a 32 or 40 iOS developer working on a single repo. So for that, we need to maintain our code highly, and we need to see, and we need to review our PR better, so that if someone use that same functionality, we should not reuse same kind of code, and we should avoid the copy paste in the code. So that is the thing that I think we need to make sure before using solid principle. Always think like if you code simple, it would be better for you. Yeah.
I really love this guy. Question: how do you prioritize? Answer: follow your heart. I love it. I love it. I love it. Just follow to your heart. I really love it. All right. Thank you, people. Thank you for sharing your time, knowledge, passion, and everything. Um, I'm not sure. Adi, are you from Israel?
Yes, that's
Or I'm
right. I'm from
mistaken?
Israel.
Yeah, how are you guys there?
I'm
Well,
living quite far from where everything takes place, but it's not an easy
Yeah.
situation here. Again, let's not say too much about it, but again, not very pleasant place to be right now.
Absolutely, we as Ukrainians really understand you people. Like you as Israelis understand us really well because you in there like for decades. We support you. We're with you people.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, from all around the world, I believe. Thank you for this time, for this blog, and for this Q&A session by Adi, by Maninder. Have a nice day or evening or whatever you have there at your place. And I will continue with my blog. Closing my blog here. This is the end of the free part of our event. So we have 7 more coming up, really deep, real nice, interesting, and sometimes I feel like, yeah, I know it, but few words of a speaker delivers some insight to me, and I really thankful to this talk, and I really passionate, and I'm excited, and going on. So this conference is to deliver insights for you. Thank you very much. If you want to follow next speakers and you don't have full access, it's your time. You can easily buy it on our website or using this QR code, and you'll have a discount like with promo code iOS Live. Yeah. Feel free to join us, jump in, and of course, in that case, you'll have recordings. Thank you very much for being with us, and I'm not sure, probably we need to have some break for a few minutes to get some coffee, to relax, and get back to our next block. 3 minutes of break now. See you. The next moderator is Paul. You know him, and he's really good in moderating. See you.